You don't rush because you're busy. You rush because you don't feel in control. You respond before you think. You decide in seconds, and then spend hours fixing what didn't need to break. The strange part is you already know this. You know you should slow down. You know you're making mistakes. But in the moment, you still do it anyway. This isn't about time or intelligence. It's something deeper, a pattern that keeps repeating until it becomes who you are. And once that happens, it affects your work, your reputation, your confidence, and how you see yourself. In Japanese philosophy, there is a powerful principle that explains this completely. But to truly understand it, you first have to see the truth. You are not acting, you are reacting. And this is where the story begins. If you're tired of this cycle running your life, stay with me, I'll show you exactly how to break it. Chapter 1. The Need to Rush. Arman was 28 and worked in a fast-paced environment. Every morning he started his day with urgency. He wanted to finish quickly, move ahead, and stay on top of everything. Speed felt like progress. But most days did not go as planned. He moved through things too quickly. He responded without fully understanding the situation. Later, he would notice the mistakes, wrong details, missed information, unclear responses. Then he had to go back and fix them, which took more time than doing it properly the first time. The same pattern repeated everywhere. He would start one thing, then jump to another. He switched between ideas constantly. Nothing stayed focused. At the end of the day, many things were started, but very few were actually finished. In conversations, it became even more visible. He spoke quickly and responded before others had finished speaking. Sometimes he misunderstood. Sometimes he reacted too early. There would be a brief silence, and in that silence he realized his mistake. But by then, it was already done. At first, he ignored it. He told himself he was simply being efficient. That speed meant productivity. But the results told a different story. Small mistakes began to add up. Things had to be corrected. Others had to step in and adjust what he had missed. That created pressure. People started noticing. Not in a direct way, but through small, repeated signals. Take your time, check this again, slow down a bit. Arman nodded. But nothing changed. The urgency inside him was still there. At home, the pattern continued. He made decisions quickly. He bought things he didn't really need. He started projects he didn't finish. Even simple daily moments felt rushed, eating quickly, scrolling without thinking, jumping from one thing to the next. There was no pause. There was no space. Weeks passed like this. He tried to change. He told himself to slow down and be more careful. But in the moment, none of that mattered. The impulse always came first. He acted, then realized later. That was the cycle. And part of him understood it. He knew rushing was causing the problem. He knew it was leading to more mistakes. But awareness wasn't enough. Because the action came too fast, and the thinking came too late. There was a gap between them. And inside that gap, control was missing. He thought he was making decisions. But when he looked closely, he wasn't deciding. He was reacting. One afternoon, it became undeniable. In the middle of an important discussion, he interrupted someone before they finished and gave an answer too quickly. He realized he had misunderstood the situation completely. There was a short, heavy pause. Someone corrected him gently. He stayed quiet after that. That evening, he sat alone for a few minutes. No phone, no noise, just one realization repeating in his mind. He was not in control of his pace. The urgency was controlling him. And for the first time, he didn't ignore it. He didn't justify it. He saw it for what it was. Rushing wasn't helping him. It was limiting him. And if it continued, it wouldn't just affect what he did. It would shape who he became. Something had to change. Chapter 2. The Lesson. A few days later, something small but significant changed Arman's perspective. He was sitting in a quiet room, waiting for a discussion to begin. He felt the familiar urge rising inside him, the need to move quickly, to speak, to push things forward. People around him were speaking slowly. The pace felt painfully slow and uncomfortable. He wanted to interrupt. He wanted to respond before they even finished. But this time, he held back. Across from him, one man was speaking. His voice was calm, measured and precise. There was no rushing, no unnecessary words. Every sentence carried weight and clarity. Arman watched him closely and noticed something important. The man was not slow. He was controlled. There was a clear difference. After the discussion ended, Arman approached him. "How do you stay that calm under so much pressure?" he asked. The man looked at him for a moment, then answered simply, "I don't rush my reactions." Arman stayed quiet, waiting for more. The man continued, speaking slowly and deliberately. "There is a concept in Japanese philosophy called Nintai." Arman had never heard the word before. Nintai means endurance, the man explained. Patience under pressure. Control. When everything inside you feels urgent. He leaned slightly forward and added, "Most people think patience simply means waiting. But that's not what it truly is." He shook his head gently. Patience is control. It's the ability to create a pause when every part of you wants to react immediately. The words were simple, but they landed with unexpected weight. Speed feels powerful, the man continued, but real control is stronger. He paused for a moment. When you rush, you lose clarity. When you slow down, you gain precision. The conversation ended there. The man didn't say anything more, but something stayed with Arman. Nintai. Patience as strength, endurance in the face of urgency. As he sat with the idea, Arman began to see his own behavior in a completely new light. He wasn't being efficient all this time. He had simply been reacting. Every decision was immediate. Every action came too fast, and every mistake followed the exact same pattern. For the first time, it all made sense. It wasn't really a time problem. It was a control problem. He had been trusting urgency, treating it like a useful force, but urgency was just a feeling, a strong, uncomfortable pressure that pushed him to act quickly. It never guaranteed that the action was right. That was the difference. Nintai described it perfectly. Control over impulse. Action that comes after awareness. For the first time, the problem felt simple. Not easy, but clear. He didn't need to move faster. He needed to learn how to pause. As he walked away that day, one word kept echoing in his mind. Nintai. Endurance in action. And this time, he decided to truly practice it. Chapter 3. The first attempt. The next morning, the same urgency returned. The pressure felt immediate and familiar. Finish quickly, move fast, stay ahead. That was how he usually started. But this time, he paused. He remembered the idea. Nintai. Control under pressure. He looked at the first task in front of him. Normally, he would act instantly. This time, he waited. Just a few seconds. He went through it once, then again. He noticed a small detail he would normally have missed. Something important. He adjusted his response and only then moved forward. It felt slower, but it was clearer. For a moment, it actually felt like progress. Yet the next task appeared almost immediately, and the urgency rushed back just as fast. Chapter 4. Early resistance. The pressure didn't change. Multiple things needed attention and time was limited. His mind kept pushing him forward, move faster, finish quickly. He started moving again, jumping between things, switching focus, skipping small details. The old pattern returned within minutes. Everything became disorganized. He stopped and looked at what he had done. There were gaps, mistakes, missing parts. He leaned back in his chair. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed, but something was different now. He had noticed the mistake as it was happening. Before, he would have continued without thinking. Now, he could see it in real time. That small difference mattered. Chapter 5. Awareness begins. Over the next few days, his focus shifted. Not speed, awareness. He started noticing the exact moment before action, the split second that came before speaking, before deciding, before reacting. That was the pattern. Impulse first, action after. Now he began to introduce a pause, just a few seconds. Sometimes he caught it, sometimes he didn't. But slowly the awareness grew stronger. He started seeing it everywhere, in conversations, in small decisions, in daily actions. The impulse was always there, fast, immediate, automatic, and that changed how he saw himself. Chapter 6. The First Control. One afternoon, someone asked him a question. He understood only part of it. Normally, he would have responded immediately. This time, he waited. He listened fully. He let the other person finish. Then he answered. The response was slower, but it was accurate. The conversation moved smoothly with no confusion. That was new, a small moment, but very clear. Chapter 7. The First Setback. A week later, everything became harder. More pressure, more demands. The urgency grew stronger than before. This time he didn't pause. He rushed. He moved quickly and skipped steps. The mistakes returned. The same pattern, the same outcome. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. But something else happened this time. He noticed the mistake faster. He stopped sooner. He corrected it. The setback didn't last as long. That was progress. Chapter 8. Repetition and practice. He returned to the idea again, Nintai. Patience under pressure. He stopped trying to remove the urgency. Instead, he focused on his response to it. When the impulse appeared, he paused. Then he acted. He applied it to simple things. Reading a message twice, waiting before speaking, finishing one task before starting another. The changes were small, but they were consistent. Days passed, then weeks, and the pattern slowly began to shift. Chapter 9. Real pressure. The pressure around him stayed exactly the same. Nothing in his environment became easier, but something inside him had started to change. When urgency appeared, he no longer reacted immediately. He paused. Then he chose his next step, one thing at a time. The process became clearer, more structured. He made fewer mistakes. That was the difference. Chapter 10. External recognition. One day someone reviewed his work. There was a short silence. Then came a simple comment. "This is more accurate." Arman nodded quietly. That was enough. The change was finally becoming visible to others. Chapter 11. The Second Setback. A few days later, the pressure returned again, strong and immediate. He reacted too quickly and made another mistake. The old pattern came rushing back. For a moment, it felt like he was back at the beginning. But this time, he didn't stay there. He stopped sooner. He paused. Then he corrected everything properly. The recovery was faster. That was progress. Chapter 12. Expanding control. He started applying the same control everywhere. Before deciding, he waited. Before reacting, he paused. Before switching tasks, he finished what he had started. The pattern became simple. Impulse. Pause. Action. Each time his control grew stronger. Each time it became clearer. Chapter 13. The Real Test. One evening, real pressure appeared. Important work with limited time. This was exactly where he used to rush the most. The impulse came back, strong and immediate. But this time he paused. He went step by step. No shortcuts, no rushing. The process felt slower, but it was accurate. It was complete. For the first time, pressure did not control him. Chapter 14. Habit integration. At some point, something deeper shifted. He stopped forcing patience. He started living it. The pause became more automatic. The reaction became more controlled. He no longer reacted instantly. He chose his response. Chapter 15. The Turning Point. One day, the same kind of situation returned. Fast pace, multiple voices, pressure to respond quickly. Everything around him felt exactly the same. But he was different. He didn't interrupt. He didn't rush. He listened. He paused. Then he spoke, calm, clear, and accurate. People responded differently. They listened. That was the moment. The principle had worked. He didn't fully understand it yet, but something inside him had changed. The urgency was still there, but it no longer controlled him. His actions were now deliberate. And that was the beginning of real control. Modern psychology explains exactly why this rushing pattern feels so automatic. Impulsive behavior is not random. It is shaped by how the brain responds to urgency. When something feels urgent, the brain quickly shifts into a fast response mode. Its priority becomes simple. Act now. Decide quickly. Reduce the tension. And when you act quickly, something powerful happens. The tension drops. You feel a small but immediate sense of relief. The brain releases a hit of dopamine not because the decision was correct, but simply because the discomfort was reduced. That feeling of relief is what reinforces the behavior. Over time, the brain learns a simple but dangerous lesson. Speed equals relief, but that relief is only temporary. And it almost always comes with a hidden cost. Details get missed. Information remains incomplete. Mistakes appear later, and the same loop quietly repeats itself. Impulse appears, action follows immediately. Relief is felt, consequences come later. This is why rushing starts to feel completely natural, almost like second nature. But the brain actually has another, slower system. This is the part responsible for deeper thinking, planning, and real control. This system only fully activates when you create a pause, even if it's just a few seconds. Instead of reacting instantly, you begin to think. And that single shift changes everything. Clarity improves. Errors reduce. Better decisions become possible. This is exactly where Nintai becomes highly practical. Nintai is not passive waiting. It is active control under pressure. It creates a small but powerful space between impulse and action, and inside that space, better decisions are born. Each time you pause, something important changes. The old pattern is interrupted. Impulse appears. The pause interrupts it. Action becomes deliberate instead of automatic. Over time, this new pattern strengthens. The pause becomes easier. The reaction becomes more controlled. That is how real discipline is formed, not by removing urgency, but by learning to control your response to it. In modern life, this impulsive pattern has become even stronger. Constant notifications create artificial urgency. Short-form content trains us to react quickly. Multitasking weakens our attention control. The brain adapts to speed, patience becomes weaker, and impulse grows stronger. That is why so many people today struggle with a sense of control. But the principle itself remains beautifully simple. If you react immediately, you lose precision. If you pause, you gain clarity. You can see it in small, everyday moments. Responding too quickly creates confusion. Speaking without fully listening creates misunderstandings. Rushing through tasks creates more work later. These are not random problems. They all follow the same underlying pattern. Impulse reduces effort in the moment, but increases effort and stress later. That is why slowing down often feels uncomfortable at first, because your brain is used to getting quick relief. Pausing interrupts that old habit. At first, it feels unnatural and even a little frustrating, but with repetition, everything begins to change. The brain starts to expect the pause. Control becomes easier. Decisions become more accurate, and over time, this new way of responding becomes your default mode. This is exactly what the philosophy of Nintai teaches. Nintai reflects this psychological mechanism with remarkable clarity. Endurance is not about simply waiting, it is about holding control when urgency tries to take over. The ancient philosophy understood this deep truth long before modern science could explain it in labs. And that is precisely why Nintai still works so effectively today. Weeks passed. The changes didn't appear all at once. They continued to build quietly, day by day. At first, the difference was small but noticeable. He began pausing before responding. He went through things twice before acting. He slowed down his decisions instead of rushing through them. The improvement was subtle. Mistakes became less frequent, not completely gone, but clearly reduced. Over time, the pattern became more stable. He no longer rushed by default. He started each task with control. He moved step by step, one thing at a time. The urgency still appeared, of course. It never fully disappeared. But now, it no longer decided his actions. That was new. The results slowly became visible. Fewer corrections were needed. Less rework. What he produced felt clearer, more structured, and more reliable. Nothing dramatic happened overnight, but the progress was consistent. One afternoon, someone asked for his input on an important matter. Before, he would have responded immediately without thinking. Now, he paused. He listened fully. He took a quiet moment to gather his thoughts. Then, he spoke. Calm, clear, and accurate. People responded differently this time. They listened more carefully. The difference was noticeable. Months passed. The habit continued to build and strengthen. He stopped consciously thinking about slowing down. He simply acted with control. The pause became almost automatic. The reaction became deliberate. That was the real shift. Then an old challenge returned. High pressure, multiple demands at once, and limited time. This was exactly where he used to rush the most. The urgency appeared again, strong and immediate. But this time, he didn't react. He paused. He focused on one thing, then the next. Step by step, the process moved forward clearly and structured, without the usual confusion. That was new. But it wasn't perfect. One evening, after a long and tiring day, the old pattern suddenly returned. He rushed. He skipped details. He made a mistake. For a moment it felt painfully familiar, like nothing had really changed. But this time, he didn't stay stuck there. He noticed the mistake quickly. He stopped. He paused. Then he corrected everything properly. The recovery was much faster. That was progress. The change was becoming stable. Not perfect, but reliable. One morning he sat down at his desk again. The pressure around him was exactly the same. The demands had not changed. But he was different now. He didn't rush. He didn't hesitate. He started with control. That was the difference. His actions had changed. He responded with clarity. He worked with focus. He handled pressure calmly, not because the urgency had disappeared, but because it no longer controlled him. That was the real shift. He was no longer reacting to impulse. He was acting with intention. He remembered how it used to be. The rushed decisions, the repeated mistakes, the constant corrections. Now the entire process felt different, simple, clear, and controlled. This was the discipline he had been building all along. Not speed, not pressure, but patience. This was Nintai. Control under urgency. Strength through patience. The impulse still appeared. But now, it no longer decided what he did. That was the moment he finally understood the principle. Patience was never about slowing down life. It was about controlling how you respond to it. And that was the difference. Most people believe speed is strength. They act quickly. They respond immediately. They move without thinking. At first, it feels efficient and productive. But over time, the results reveal something else. Mistakes increase. Clarity decreases. Control is lost. And the same pattern repeats itself. This is where the problem truly begins. Impulse feels like action, but it often has no real direction. It creates movement, but not genuine progress. It gives the illusion of control while quietly taking it away. The lesson was simple, yet profound. Control is stronger than urgency. When you pause, you see clearly. When you see clearly, you act correctly. That is where true precision comes from. And this applies to anyone, not just a few disciplined people. You don't need more time. You need more control over how you use the time you already have. The urge to act quickly will always appear. That part does not change. The pressure, the notifications, the demands, they will keep coming. But your response to them can change. And that single change in response shapes everything that follows. You see it in small, everyday moments. Responding too quickly creates confusion. Interrupting others creates misunderstanding. Rushing decisions creates problems that didn't need to exist in the first place. These moments may seem small and insignificant, but they quietly build patterns. And those patterns eventually shape your outcomes, your reputation, and even your character. Over time, patience becomes part of who you are. Not forced, not temporary, but stable and natural. It shows in how you speak, it shows in how you decide, it shows in how you handle pressure. And people notice it. Because real control is visible, it changes how others trust you. And more importantly, it changes how you trust yourself. That is how true discipline is built, not through speed, but through repeated controlled action. This is what Nintai teaches. Endurance is not passive, it is active control in the presence of urgency. And that is what makes it real strength. Only then did Arman fully understand what the principle truly meant. This version keeps your full length and thoughtful style, while sounding more natural and powerful when spoken. The emotional weight feels deeper, especially in the contrast between speed and control, and the final lines land with more impact. Would you like me to expand any specific part even more, for example, the small moment section or the trust part? Or are you ready to move to the conclusion/final CTA of the video? Just tell me what you need next. Remember this. Pause before you react. Control the impulse. Act with intention. That is discipline. Speed will always tempt you. Urgency will always appear. But control is always available to you. Every single moment gives you a choice to react without thinking or to respond with awareness. And that choice defines your actions. Your actions define your results. Your results, over time, shape who you become. In the moment, the difference often feels small, but over time, it becomes everything. This is where patience becomes strength. This is where real control is built. So the next time you feel that familiar urge to rush, that pressure to respond immediately, to move fast, to get it done, pause. Take that small but powerful space. And choose differently. Choose control instead of impulse. Choose clarity instead of speed. Choose intention instead of reaction. If this message stayed with you, if it made you reflect on your own patterns, then I invite you to subscribe to the channel for more lessons like this. Hit the like button if this video helped you see the power of the pause, and share in the comments one situation in your life where you will now choose control over impulse. I read every comment, and I'd love to hear from you.